and watch everybody clapping silently. That was awesome. It was, I don't know, something very special about that. And we're recording. Awesome. So welcome everybody to the weekly team Zoom call. If you're brand new, I guess this would be obligatory for you. Welcome. We know that there are multiple teams that are joining us. We like it that way. We want to afford people that may not have their own personal team call, or their upline may not have a team call. So we just wanted to open it up and say we're family. So we hope you found it okay. If you're joining us by phone, you don't get to see all these smiling faces, but nevertheless, we're glad you could make it. Today is Monday, September the 10th, 2018. If you're watching this recording, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to jump on. I'll change my view here back to speaker, and maybe that will keep me from being distracted. We have lots of going on in the LifeVantage Nation. Global conventions coming up, LifeVantage Academy is coming up next weekend. International markets are opening up. We just opened Austria a couple weeks ago, and you don't have to be well, unless you're living under a rock, you already are aware of lots and lots of activity in our teams and different national markets as well. I want to get to some recognition for the rank advancements we had in the month of August, but I want to turn the time over as much as we can to a brand new Pro 5. That doesn't happen every day. When I hit Pro 5, I was standing watching my computer terminal at Home Depot, and we watched the numbers roll over to 20,000. I was on the phone with my wife, Krista, and I walked over to a little friend of mine, a little black gal working in plumbing, who was stocking faucets in front of my station there in the kitchen center. Her name is JD, and I walked over and I said, JD, I have to tell somebody. You won't have any idea what this means, but my wife and I just hit a monumental rank advance, a benchmark in our company. It's called Pro 5. I know that doesn't mean anything to you, but here's what that means, that one day very soon, you're going to come to work. You see that desk right there where I sit every day? You're going to come in one day and I won't be there. And that's a really good thing. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for those who attain the rank of Pro 5. And we have one such person that's hit it for the first time, Miss Stephanie Keisman. Now, some of you will know Stephanie through her Facebook presence and her leadership in building her amazing team. We were privileged to meet Stephanie, and I don't know Stuart that well, but Stuart is actually on staff over at the IHOP, International House of Prayer. For those of you that know that ministry, that organization, so they're highly recommended, highly people of integrity, and we're so grateful that these guys are here with us in the Kansas City area. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our brand new Pro 5, Ms. Stephanie Keisman. Take it away, sister.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I feel very loved. And I definitely felt the feeling of, I need to tell someone about this, when we saw the numbers turn over at like 11:30 at night on August 31st. So that was really exciting. And I just am really excited to be with all of you, and just feel really just honored and sometimes very surprised at what God has done through us and LifeVantage. We got started a little over a year ago when I met Donna Edwards. Some of you know Donna, who I didn't know at the time, but I met her at a park, and she introduced me to Pro Tandem, and the way that she explained it made a lot of sense to me. And I said, if this is real, I need to look into this. I need to recommend it to everybody I know. And if it's real, then even the best and brightest minds in medicine and science don't even know that this exists yet, and I need to jump in the business. And so I did that last June, but I had no idea what I was doing. I had no previous network marketing experience. I had no, I was just a a baby bird in this brand new world. My husband and I were entrepreneurs. We had several different businesses that we ran: photography business, car rental business. My husband is in ministry. We also have an eBay store, Airbnb. I mean, it'll make your head spin the number of pots that we had our hands in. But I knew that there was something different about this for us. And I caught on to the vision quickly that this was something that if I committed my heart to it, and if I committed to be a servant of people and a student of the industry, that it could really be a huge answer to one of the desires of our hearts, which is to simply build an inheritance for our kids. We knew that the state of the economy and just the landscape of how business works in our nation, in our world now, is very different than it was when my parents were our age. And we just can't even do the same things that they did and end up with the same successful results. And so I just had an inkling as I started doing research that this was a better way. And I knew that as mostly a stay-at-home mom, that I had some work hours available to me during the week, but I needed to find a way to make this work on social media because I needed to be at home for a good part of the day. And so did most of the people that I had any circle of, or any influence in their lives, any relationship with. Most of us are in a similar spot in life. We needed to figure out, how do we do this online? And so we talked in the interview in July about really going after social media and being someone worth following, how building relationships on social media, becoming an influencer, becoming a person that people want to rally behind and follow is a process. And it's essential whether you're going to do network marketing online or whether you're going to build all of your business in face-to-face knee-to-knee meetings. If you're going to build this big and sustainable, you have to become someone worth following. And so we talked about how success is it's not one thing. It's not a trick, a simple trick that you can do to get 100 new customers next week. But success is really something that is developed in your person over time with applied effort and consistency. And there is no magic bullet. And even if there was, what would you do with all of those people if you got them tomorrow? You know, that was something I used to think about in the early days. I'm like, well, I would love to have a bunch of customers and teammates. That would be really nice, but I have no idea what I would do with them if I had them. And so these are things that all of us have to wrestle with when we're getting started in the early days. That was definitely something that I thought about a lot. And one of my biggest aims was to find out what would be the first thing that I would do with a new person that came into the business. And that was the question I would ask everybody that was above me or that had been just down this road a little bit further. What's the first thing you do for a new distributor? And I didn't necessarily get all the answers that I felt were super helpful, but that was my question, because if you're going to succeed, if you're going to build a large team that's going to be sustainable, you have to be able to duplicate success. You can't just do it on your own. You actually have to be able to show others how to do that. So I spent 6 months trying to figure out how to do this on Facebook, and I was a pro one, I think, for basically the first 6 months that I was in the company. And I was committed. I was working hard. I was going to events. I was going to all the LVAs. I was developing mindsets. But I could not figure out how to increase my volume more than it was being lost each month just by natural attrition. So there's a few things that I learned about social media that I come back to every time that I make a post on Facebook, or every time I think about a new strategy or a tactic. And one of those things is that social media is by definition social. Okay, so I know most of you know this, and this may not be, I mean, this might be old hat for many of you, but when we look at something like Facebook, all right, people are not coming to Facebook to feel sold to. Just like when someone invites you over to a party at their house and you go over there, you're not going there expecting for them to give you a sales presentation. And so Facebook and Instagram and all these social media platforms, they're a place where people want to engage with other people. They're there to be social. And so you have to adapt the way that you communicate with them about your business, about your products, about the life-changing things that you have to offer. You have to communicate with them in such a way that respects that platform. And we found on my team that one of the best ways to do that is through storytelling. Okay, there's a saying in our industry, really just business in general, that says that stories sell and facts tell. Or maybe it's the other way around. Facts tell, but stories sell. And the crux of it is that if you can show someone how your story, or even someone else's story, relates to something that they're experiencing and some desire that they have, if they can see themselves in your shoes or in your friend's shoes, the likelihood of them being on board to jump into trying one of our products or getting started with the business is just so much higher. And so that was something that I had to learn on the front end, because I am definitely a science nerd. I'm a science lover. That was what got me into the company. And we have products that have ridiculous amounts of research and amazing science to back them up. But most of the people that I talk to, they really could care less about that. And I knew that, I mean, people would tell me that at the beginning, but it's like, it's hard to let go, because it's like, you feel like, I know something and I want to share it, and I know this would change your life. And the person, it's just not the right language. It's a different language for them. And so that was a big just piece of wisdom that I have had to grow in, is learning how to tell stories, both of my own and other people. And honestly, the strongest teammates on my team are generally the ones that tell the best stories, which is just so interesting. Because when someone tells you a story, you don't feel like they're trying to sell you anything. You either see value in it or you don't, and you can make a decision that you feel is right for you. And so I would just encourage everyone to just really focus on just even writing down some of your personal stories related to the products that we have. Or if you don't have your own stories yet, write down stories of your friends. There are stories, I guess this would lead me to my next point, but also just write down stories that if you've ever received a paycheck from LifeVantage, if you just signed up and you got paid for the first time, like, these are little stories that are really important, and it's great for you to write them down and keep them as tools to share with other people, because all of these things are important. And if you can bring someone into this journey with you, they will feel cared for. They'll see themselves in your success, and they'll feel like it's doable, as long as you can celebrate the small things. I had, let's see, looking at my notes here. For a long time, for the first 6 months, one of the things that I struggled with was that I was scared to actually tell people that I was doing a business, that I was doing a network marketing business, or just doing a business in general. online. I didn't have a super favorable opinion of the industry when I first got started. I knew that that was a real sensitive point with folks, and I was scared to say something about it on social media because I thought that I didn't want to do it wrong and then have to do a lot of backpedaling, I guess. And so I didn't say anything for a long time. And it's funny, when I started talking about it, I started getting people that were interested, but I didn't talk about it like, I'm doing a business. Do you want to come join me? I mean, I know that's like, we see that a lot on Facebook. Would you like to join my team? I'm looking for people to join my team. And I think there's a time and place for that. But when I started just talking kind of in a introspective way about how much I love our industry, but I was vague about what I would say. I would talk about biohacking sometimes, and just how we're making strides in nutrition and the ways that we can help the human body function at maximum capacity. And I would just occasionally just share a thought about the business. Sometimes I would say things like, I have a vision for network marketing being a way that God is using to fund the kingdom, both from, up, down, we're giving on top of what we make or off of what we make, but then also from the bottom up, we're getting, as we build our teams, we get to support other missionaries. And so I started talking about that on social media. And it's funny because the people that's like their heart, they want to see the kingdom funded. They're drawn to posts like that, and they just start asking, well, what are you doing? Like, why, how are you funding the kingdom with this project that you're working on? Okay. So you can come up with these vague, but poignant ways of just saying how much you love your industry, how much you love working with the team that you have, or the team that you're on. You can talk, events are an awesome place to talk about the business without it being salesy. You show pictures of yourself at an LVA, or at when you go to Salt Lake City next month. You take pictures of you and the people on your team, things that you're learning there. Those are excellent ways of showing your audience and telling stories without having to try and sell anything or making someone feel sold to. So I think that's probably like a good pause point. I will say, last week, one of my good friends that I've known in Chicago, he sent me a message. His name's Andrew. And if he's watching this at some point in the future, he'll know who he is. Really wanted to give him a shout out, but totally made my day last week, because for the last 6 months, I've been wanting to build a team that just changes the face of network marketing and changes some of the negative ideas that even I had before about the industry. And so although I talk about my team and I talk about our products in a kind of vague way on my Facebook profile, I'm not very, well, obviously I'm not specific because I said I was vague, but my friend Andrew, apparently he had been watching a lot of this, and he sent me a message, and he says, tell me about your team. Tell me about Team Brave. That's what we're called. And then he started asking, well, what's this little yellow pill? He's like, I keep trying to like dig into your Facebook. I've gone back as far as I can. I see all of your posts, but I don't know, like, I know that you're in network marketing, but I have no idea what you sell, and I have no idea, what this is all about, but it's very interesting to me, and it's obviously successful. And so tell me what's going on. And so we got to have this conversation last week. And it just felt so validating to me, because my vision with this was that people would they'd feel loved, they'd feel cared for, they would feel curious enough. But it would be something where they didn't know um, they didn't know that it was network marketing until we like had to talk about it and talk it through. And so I just wanted to throw that out there, that Andrew made my day last week, because all of the dreams I've had of changing the face of the industry, I felt like he saw that and he got it. And I really appreciated it a lot.
Let me ask you this, Steph, on that point.
Yep.
Because I've heard social media described as a scalpel. If you put it in the hands of an expert, great things can be accomplished. If you put it in the hands of a monkey, somebody's going to bleed, right? And so I liken it metaphorically to a power tool, that it's incredibly effective, lots of leverage. But again, you need to understand the power of the tool before you go chopping down trees with a chainsaw.
Definitely.
So just comment, if you will. And this, it's interesting to me, the dichotomy that people perceive when we're talking about social media versus face-to-face sharing.
Yeah.
And how transcendent the principles are, regardless of the platform. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that, but talk about some of the things that you see people still doing wrong in social media, not just in LifeVantage, but across the spectrum of network marketing, as fellow crusaders that are trying to recalibrate and reform network marketing as the amazingly wonderful, beautiful, elegant business model it is. What are some things that you see people doing wrong on social media?
Sure. The big one is that they're posting links to all of their company sales or their company generated websites. Or that's all they're posting about in their newsfeed. Really, if you're going to post about business, you really want to keep it to about 20% of what you post. And you want to be posting often, at least every day, if not several times a day. And so if you are a walking advertisement on Facebook, I'm sure we've all done that to some degree with something. So there's no judgment here, but that's a common complaint that I hear a lot in that, and I would say that is not something that I particularly enjoy either. So that would be one. Another thing is that people, I think there's kind of this assumption that so there's a method that we use called ATM on Facebook, and it stands for add, tag, and message, and it relates to Facebook groups. For instance, there's groups in LifeVantage that are open to all distributors. One of them is called CEO, and it's for the business. It's for if you want to introduce someone to the business of LifeVantage, you can do that in this group, and you would add them to the group for A. Then you would tag them in a relevant post that you think would help them, and then you would send them a private message to say, hey, Jake, I just tagged you in this post in this group. Now, overall, like, that's a great idea. ATM is a great idea, and it can be very effective, but it's just been my experience that if all you do, like if you don't have any interaction with this person outside of doing the ATM method, the likelihood of them either ordering from you or getting started on your team, or even if they do order from you, the likelihood of you sustaining relationship with them is small. And so I think sometimes people think that that's the first thing that they're going to do when they talk to a new prospect. But I found that it actually, if you can have a conversation that makes the ATM method something that answers a problem of theirs, then it's so much more, the probability just increases exponentially that you're going to be able to just get their attention. And so I think it's just, again, understanding those basic principles of relationship. Also complaining a lot on Facebook. I know I mean, sometimes rants are appropriate, okay? But if you are a person who is very negative and very opinionated about things that you stand against, I can just tell you it's hard to become an influencer that way, and you will hurt your business, and you will hurt your ability to really just bring people together and increase. I mean, everyone's got so much negativity in their lives. Like, why don't you be the person that tells them that they are loved by God? Why don't you be the person that encourages them, that gives them hope to get up the next day? Why don't you add value to their lives and watch your influence grow? So
I will second that, and I'll share something that I have been convinced of in the last couple of years, that affirmation and encouragement and offering words of hope and wisdom and value to people are infinitely more valuable. That was redundant, but it's infinitely more inclusive than my particular political perspective, or even our traditions of faith. And so I would just second that, because once you start down that road of making Facebook your political platform, or my goodness, your conversations, face-to-face conversations, something that is divisive by nature, you are automatically reducing the likelihood of finding a partner in business. And sometimes that's okay. You don't want that knucklehead in your business. You don't want to work with that person. I get it, but just understand, be aware that if you are using divisive language, if you're using I and you instead of we and us, you are by definition eliminating some prospects by doing that. And if you're doing it in front of 2 billion people, and you are pledging your allegiance one way or the other politically, you've just eliminated 1 billion prospects, roughly. And or if you're talking about, well, I'll leave it there. I would just echo what you just said, Stephanie. When we talk about staying in control of your business, which I thought I understood until Sherry Hollenbach came on the scene, and she completely recalibrated my understanding of staying in control of your business. If you don't know who that is, you need to go to YouTube or the Building Depth Facebook group and find out who Sherry Hollenbach is and get you some Sherry training. She completely helped reframe our understanding of staying in control of your business. But social media, it is by definition cyberspace. So you're working a relationship virtually, digitally with someone. How do you, and I don't even know if you may have an answer for this, but how would you characterize bringing that principle of staying in control of your business into the digital domain, online marketing, social media, et cetera?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a great answer for this, because it's just I would need and would want some outside perspective just in ways that this needs to go better. Now, there are certain, I mean, my team uses a lot of Facebook, resources to help educate and get clients, or to get people started. And I know that we don't have any control really over Facebook policies and what Facebook does. So if
Right.
Facebook shut down tomorrow, we would be in a pretty bad spot right now. And I've thought about that, and I've thought about how long-term we need to come up with some solutions for that problem. Now, as it relates to cultivating relationships, and I think I try to protect the process of how people learn. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I don't talk about LifeVantage or Protandem, brand name of anything on my personal page. I am wanting to point them to one of my team groups where they can learn more about either the business or the products. And part of that is so that I can protect the process of how they're learning about the business and the products. I don't really want them to hear the name Protandem and then go search Google and that be their first exposure to what a product is. I want their first exposure to be the ABC Primetime or the new biohacking video or someone's success story with, the physique line or something. I want those to be their first exposures, and then inevitably they're going to go do a search later on. But that's something that I do. I mean, I'm very careful about. I want them to come into this group where they have social proof of these things that are effective and working. And then, within our group, we have just a sense of we honor each other's prospects. And so, I mean, I guess that would be part of being in control of the business, but there's not anything like I can't necessarily prevent someone from going and ordering from another distributor. But my hope is to create a culture where people feel a sense of loyalty and they feel a sense of belonging on our team, and that will keep them as customers and potential teammates. So
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
Well, and I realized I should have given you a heads up on that question. That was a 95 mile an hour fastball, and
Sure.
and you dealt with that very well. At least a double. That could have been a standing triple. I don't know. But I think for what we've seen of Stephanie, the way you've built your business and your practices and your daily method of operation, I would say to the degree that it's possible in the digital domain of staying in control of your business, you've exemplified that. You keep your personal page for personal stuff, and you've segmented or compartmentalized your prospects on your business page, and you have a very methodical process of sharing information so people begin to get a picture of what a presentation is. And that, up to this point, the last 6 years, we were doing a 45-minute or an hour-long kneecap to kneecap, eyeball to eyeball presentation that usually spilled over into the weeks beyond. Mm-hmm. And so in that sense, I don't see a whole lot of difference between having to follow up virtually versus having to follow up once that 45-minute presentation at Starbucks or someplace is over. You still got to do the work, and you still have to control that information and provide the follow-up resources that somebody can move towards making a decision. So I just want to affirm that and give you encouragement. And I think you've done a wonderful job of that. And I think those that don't see what we see as sort of your upline support team may think that, you're just kind of shotgunning Facebook, with stuff and hoping something sticks. And that's actually not what we see. We see your intentionality and availability of those resources to move people towards making a decision. And I that's where I am. I'm learning. Krista and I are both daily. We're talking about this process of how do we help people make that decision rather than just chucking videos at them one after another, after another, and after another, sort of ad nauseum. I don't know if you want to comment on that as well, but maybe you do. Yeah. How would you recommend somebody like me who's super low pressure to bring people to a decision point?
So the way that I've done that so far, and there's probably, I would say a vast majority of the distributors on my team were customers first who had an experience. And then we started talking about becoming a distributor. But for people that are looking at the business, typically the way that I'm handling it now is I'm having them watch 4 videos. 3 of them are short, and then one of them is usually one of the slightly longer presentations. I really like either one of Seth Campbell's, or Team Heart has a good one too. It's going through the biohacking through nutrigenomics presentation. I like both of those a lot because they talk about building on Facebook and how it's very similar to other online services. But I'll usually, once I know that a person is interested in taking a look at the business, we've established that, they're they want to take a look at it, then I'll tell them, all right, I've got 4 videos for you to watch. It's going to take you about 35 minutes to get through all 4 of those videos. And then I want to touch base with you on the phone tomorrow, so we can just talk about it and you can tell me what you thought. And I've had a lot of success preemptively telling them how much time it's going to take for them to watch the videos, telling them beforehand, like, I'm going to add you to this group, I'm going to tag you in 4 videos, you're going to watch them, and then we're going to talk about it tomorrow, because they have to agree to all of that and a follow-up appointment before I even really add them to the group. And so the expectations are really clear. They're getting instructions. A lot of times people just need to be told what to do. And I know it sounds bossy, but if you could just say, well, just do this, this, and this is your next step. Every time you talk to them, you're just giving them a next step. And so, and I don't personally love doing like phone calls as a way to introduce someone to the business, but I don't mind doing a phone call after someone's already seen all the information. And I'm just going to talk with them and see if they thought it was something that would be a good fit for them. I mean, I have no problem doing that. So I'll call them afterwards, and it's much less intimidating to me than calling them before. And we'll talk on the phone, and I'll ask them, you know, did you see value in that for yourself? How do you see yourself like fitting in to this? Does this seem like something that you are you serious about this? Like, are you wanting to really go for it? I mean, the questions that I ask are a little bit different from person to person, but I'm trying to get a feel for, are they really like serious about this? Or do they just want to make enough money to maybe pay for some of their products? And I make suggestions about what pack maybe they should consider based on their answers to those questions.
That's great.
So that's how I would do it. And I've had a lot of positive just results by going through a process like that.
Yep. Thank you. That's awesome. I want to get to recognizing some other leaders in your team. Yes. As well. I know as the vanguard, quite often you're doing most of the presentations, and but you've got some significant duplication happening in your team as well, and people right behind you. I do want to mention, I know Amy Carlson is ranked, she reclaimed Pro 3, which is no small thing. Chandler Santiago almost came within a whisker of qualifying Pro 4. Congratulations, Chandler. And man, we're praying for you guys. We believe that God's doing some incredible things in your family, and we're glad. Are they back in the States? I don't see them on the Zoom. Are they back, Steph?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, let them know that we gave them a shout out. And Pro 4 in September, we're believing for it. And then Lindsay and Erica, I think, didn't they qualify for Pacesetter program this past month?
They hit Pro 2 in the first 90 days. So
right on.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Right on. So that'll give them Pro 2. And let me, with your permission, Steph, I'm going to branch out here just a little bit and recognize all of our rank advancements that I have. Perhaps if you're a leader on the call and you know someone that I don't list, please give us a shout out. But Peter's new distributor, Jane Bernadelle, hit Pro 1, having not come in as a platinum, I believe. I'm not sure. Paul Corey, Northern Ireland. Dr. Paul, right on, brother. Jennifer McCord, MD, brand new Pro 1 under Jerry Whistler. Well done, brother. Stephanie Keisman, of course, that's Pro 5. Clayton Hoffman, brand new Pro 1. Lindsay, I already mentioned, Pro 2. Jim Anderton, brand new Pro 2. Connie Humiston, BC2. What's up? Getting the BC2 cranking at Pro 4. Connie's already Pro 6. I'm sorry, Pro 5. Oh, that was prophetic, wasn't it? So well done, Connie Cash. Claire Roberts, Pro 3. Kathy Roberts, Pro 3. Vienna Schmidt, Pro 4. What's up? Under Eric Beal. And Phil and Linda Stack, Pro 4. That team is crushing it. And Laverne Carbajo, I'm sure I'm going to get that wrong. Laverne, please correct me on my pronunciation. Brand new Pro 3. Congratulations. And Courtney Maloney, all rank advancements in the month of August. Very well done, guys. And again, if you're a leader on the call, feel free to unmute yourself and give your folks a shout out. Now is the time. If I missed anybody, just give us a hand or unmute and yell or whatever. I think we got them all.
Mark, you didn't miss anybody, but I just want to say one more time, Stephanie killed it this last month. These last 3 months have been amazing. But then to see at the 12th hour, really, how much our upline came together and just rallied around her to help her, walk with her, kind of hand in hand across the finish line. I mean, that was so huge. And then to see so many people on her team just step up to the bat to help her over right there in the last days. So awesome team, awesome leadership. Thank you, Julie and Mark and Krista and Jackie and everybody else for all your help.
Thank you, David. Krista sends her love. She's actually doing another call for another team. Crossline team right now. It was the only time they had available, and they've been asking her for months to do this for her. So she sends her love. She sends her apologies. So I know a lot of people would rather hear Krista than me. Christy Roller. Yes, ma'am. I see you.
Yes. Okay. Ren Michelle was Pro 2, and I believe Kathy Roberts went Pro 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Congratulations, guys.
Okay.
Fantastic.
That's all of them.
And I want to bring in somebody here real quick. Stephanie Keisman, very well done, my sister. We so appreciate you, and we appreciate your leadership. We say many times, you'll hear it often from us, that mentorship goes both ways. So thank you for leading us well, and thank you for being a part of this team and for sharing so freely the things that you're learning, your wisdom, your insight, and your inspiration, sis. So thank you for taking the time to share that with the team. We love you. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm just, so thankful for you guys and your leadership too, and just really grateful for everything you've done for me and with me.
All righty. Well, thank you, Steph. Let me do this. Let me introduce a dear friend of mine, a man with more irons and more fires than anyone I know. Elite Pro 7 Kurt Heisey is part of our team. There in Pennsylvania. Kurt is a hard man to pin down. You can follow him on Facebook. He's got some incredibly compelling posts all over the place. Kurt is he's on the Zoom with us now, and he's going to take a few minutes to tell us why, Kurt, why should I be in Salt Lake City for Global Convention? Are you there, buddy?
I am here, and absolutely. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And one thing that Stephanie said, which I caught at the beginning, was I was going to the trainings. Folks, our business is kind of like a crock pot. I don't know if you ever put a meal in a crock pot, but you forgot to plug it in. You know what happens? Nothing. Why? Because you got to keep putting the juice in it, or the energy into it. And folks, when you go to a training and you go to a global convention, it's like you turn that crock pot up on high. And what happens is whenever you go to training, you get away with something that's going to help you in your business. Now, we know the statistics on how much more people make that go to the elite academies or the global conventions, how much more they rank advance, and it's absolutely staggering. So I realize that it's difficult. I realize it's costly, but it's more costly to not go. And it's more difficult to be saying, boy, I don't know why everybody's business is growing and mine just seems to be stagnant. And here's the reason, is your business will only grow as much as you grow. And so do everything that you can to grow. Now, don't just go to elite academies or global conventions and not grow in between. But it's a key portion of your growing. That's number one, because it's not just what you hear on stage. It's when you are sitting around waiting for things to open and you say, hey, where are you from? What's your story? And you get an amazing story that you need you absolutely need that story for somebody you're going to meet in 2 weeks. And that is one powerful reason you go to anything you can, talk to everybody you can, you find their stories, you relate to them, and you get what you need to build your business, because you're building and you're growing and that type of thing. So I just want to encourage you. I had a really, really difficult time, Julie knows, to get to this global convention. It was like almost impossible because I'm in China. I have a trade show before, and just absolutely, and it was going to cost me like plane tickets to like $6,000. And I said, that's just, I don't know. So we worked, but guess what? We got it. I can go. I'm going to be there. And I just, when I realized, I had told Julie, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to go. And we worked, I prayed. And finally I said, I'm just not comfortable with not going. So there's got to be a way. And so anyway, we made a way. We're going to be there. And Mark's going to be buying me lunch. I'm looking forward to that. And anyway, I encourage you to go. It's going to be an amazing time where you can grow and you can develop. And when you do, everything about your life begins to change too. So just that word of encouragement.
Amen, brother. Amen. And I tell you, one of my favorite things in the whole world is kind of being in the front of the room with the people that I love and appreciate the most. I don't think I knew any of the elites other than Daniel Bernard 8 years ago. It's the only guy in the elite section other than my mother-in-law. And we met Julie's son Josh here in Kansas City at a discipleship training school. Other than that, so of course, Jerry and Julie have been part of our team almost since the beginning. But sitting together at the global convention events and the national events together as part of that team, and with the elites, because we're family now. I mean, we're like brothers and sisters. I don't know if you know that, but I mean, the elites are some of my favorite people in the whole world, and we get to have a family reunion every 90 days, and it feels like that for us. So absolutely. The other thing I'll mention is we're adding a new MC and speaker at the global convention event, and Andy Andrews will be back again, one of my favorite speakers in the world at global convention. So head on over to lifevantage.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, click on that picture of global convention, Salt Lake City, and get your registrations sorted out, your travel arrangements sorted out as well. Leaders Pro 6 and up need to plan on being there Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 5. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Thursday morning, there's a biohack workout. I don't know what that is, but it's a biohack workout from 6:30, 7:30. Country meetings start at 9, from 9 to 11. General session starts at 1 o'clock on Thursday, October 25th. So thank you, Kurt, for that. I love you, man. Good to see you. I'm glad you're back in the States for 15 minutes.
Good to be here.
We have some questions back for Stephanie, so I'm going to bring you back on, sis. I know that you don't have 4 set videos. I know you probably got a toolbox of videos depending on who you're talking to, but let's say generically, what are your 4 favorite videos, your workflow that you like to share with people?
Sure. So I always start them out with a welcome video that I actually made, and it's really short, and it just says, hey, I'm so glad that you're here. You're going to find some life-changing information. I kind of just set them up for what they're about to watch, and also just kind of say, hey, there's no pressure to be involved. This isn't for everybody, that kind of thing. So that's a personal welcome video. That's obviously optional. And if you can't do that right now, no big deal. The second video, I like to show them that the Life Vantage video that came out about a year ago, it's called What is Aging? And it's really short. It's like 4 minutes long. There's an interview with Darren Jensen and this like Uber driver, and they just talk. It's just several people that they interview talking about, living longer and what that could mean for them. I think it's inspiring. I like that. Also, third video would either be ABC Primetime or the new biohacking video. And I kind of will suggest either or based on the age of the person that I'm talking to, or just how familiar they are with technology. Because the ABC Primetime obviously has a very powerful impact for folks that are probably a little bit older than I'm 35. So, I would say probably maybe 40 and up or so. I'll usually send them to ABC Primetime first. Sometimes people in my generation don't see the significance of that. The fourth video would be a longer presentation, and that would just be the one that you like the best. So I choose usually Seth Campbell or the Team Heart. There's also building depth presentations, which I really think is awesome, especially if you're dealing with a lot of knee-to-knee, face-to-face meetings. And it's very simple, and it is very duplicatable as well. So I like that one, but I don't often use it because I feel like it's a little bit harder to communicate online.
All righty. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yep.
And one of the things, wider team, Jackie's team, everybody, one of the things that we are committed to doing is curating those resources for our team. So right now we're scrambling to get content on the CEO page, Facebook group. We're scrambling to get stuff on biohacking health, the product-based Facebook group. I also have, Krista and I have a personal business page called Lifetree Transformational Business. If you want to submit something on that page, I actually have admin privileges because I started it. So if there's something that you want to see that's helpful for you to build your team and as a prospecting tool, by all means, let me know. And we'll approve it. We'll put it on there. And if it's non-compliant, maybe we'll hide it. I'm kidding, of course, but that's what it's for. We're also working on a website that will be a one-stop shop for videos and training and PDFs and all the good stuff with that. I don't want to leave this Zoom call without giving Julie White an opportunity to say, hey, anything that's on your mind, sister, any encouragement or reminders or updates or announcements that you have. So Julie, if you're still around, would love to hear from you, see your happy, beautiful face. You still on?
I'm here.
Hey. What you got?
Okay. Hey, it's just such a joy to be on here with everyone. And Stephanie, I'm just so blessed and inspired by your sharing tonight. And I've had a lot of fun just watching you and what you're doing on Facebook. And I have to say that the thing that I love the best about how you do things on Facebook is just how real, genuine, and authentic you are. And that, to me, that is just really special. So thanks so much for taking the time out to share tonight. And, I just want to thank everyone for being on here tonight and taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us in this Zoom. I love everyone, and I just love being a part of this great LifeVantage family that we're in. So thanks, everyone, for joining at 9 p.m. And I think it's getting close to 9 p.m. Eastern. There is another webinar for guests, an opportunity webinar that Pro 10 Jill Pearson is doing. The information is posted on the Activators Facebook page. So anybody that has somebody they want to get on that you'll find the info there. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Julie. Perfect. We'll close there. Love y'all. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.